This is lesson 2.3 for Algebra 2, and this is all about linear equations. So what we need to first define is slope, and slope uses the variable m. And you must remember that rise over run is a common explanation for slope, and slope is the rate of change of a line. All linear equations are line. We also have a formula to find slope, and the formula is right here, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we can use this formula if we have 2 points. So let's use the formula to find the slope between these 2 points in a coordinate plane. So we're going to start with labeling them. We have x1, y1, x2, y2. So in the formula, we're going to start with the y2, and y2 is negative 2. Subtracting y1, which is negative 3. x2 in the denominator is negative 1, subtracting y1, which is 6. Now we're going to simplify both the numerator and denominator. So we're going to change the double negative, and negative 2 plus 1 is 3, and negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7. So if we were to graph these 2 points in the coordinate plane, it would be decreasing as a line, and the slope is negative 1/7. So let's talk about horizontal lines and vertical lines. First of all, the slope is different between the two. A horizontal line is a flat line, and the slope is 0. A vertical line looks like this, and the slope is undefined. The equation of a horizontal line is y equals some number. So for example, y equals 4. The equation of a vertical line is x equals some number, like x equals negative 2. So let's graph each of these. So a vertical line, or a horizontal line at y equals 4, we're going to start on the y-axis and go to 4, and this is the line. In a vertical line, it's x equals negative 2, so on the x-axis we're going to go to negative 2, and it's a vertical line. You need to know those rules. Then we have lines that aren't vertical or horizontal. So slope-intercept form is the equation y equals mx plus b. And the m is the slope, and the b is where it crosses the y-axis, or the y-intercept. So if I give you an equation y equals 3x minus 1, the 3 is our slope, and the y-intercept is b, which is negative 1. So we're going to graph this equation y equals 3x minus 1. So I'm going to add some hash marks here to my graph. And we always start with graphing the b value first. So since b is negative 1, that's the y-intercept. So on the y-axis, I'm going to put a dot at negative 1. And then the slope needs to be written in the form rise over run. So since it's just 3, I'm going to write it as 3 over 1. So the top number, if it's positive, we're going to count up. If it's negative, we're going to count down. And then the denominator, the bottom, is always counted to the right. So for this, we're going to start at the dot we just plotted. And since the slope is 3 over 1, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 up, and then to the right 1. So that was up 3, right 1. And with just 2 dots, I can draw my line. Alright, let's write an equation in slope-intercept form. So we're going to start with the y equals mx plus b. And then we're going to plug values into it. So the slope of this line is negative 1/3. That's m. So in this equation, I'm going to replace the m with a negative 1/3. And then the y-intercept is the b. And since it's negative 4, I'm going to subtract 4. The y-intercept can also be listed as an ordered pair. It will always be 0 and then b. And in this case is negative 4. Now we're going to write an equation of a vertical line through 6, 2. So we're going to first start with plotting 6, 2. And so the x-coordinate goes to the right and then up 2. So this is the point 6, 2, and it's a vertical line. Now, as I wrote my vertical line, I noticed that it went through the x-axis. And since it goes through the x-axis, the equation is going to be x equals. And it goes through at 6. So this is a vertical line at x equals 6. And x equals 6 is the equation of the line. The same would be true of a horizontal line. So if I had a point right here, -3, -2, and I drew a horizontal line, it goes through the y-axis at -2, so the equation is y equals -2. Alright, last part, we're going to graph the equation y equals -2x minus 1. So I'm going to start with my graph. And we need to identify first our m and our b. So the slope for this first one is -2 and written as a fraction over 1. The b is -1. So on my graph, again, I'm going to start with -1, always on my y-axis. And then the slope is -2 over 1. So instead of going up this time, since it's negative, I'm going to count down 2 over 1. So we get a slope of -2. What type of line is x equals 4? As soon as you see x or y equal to a number, you should be thinking vertical or horizontal. And x equals is always vertical. So on the x-axis, we're going to go to 4 and draw a vertical line. And that's as simple as it is to graph an equation of a vertical line. Sometimes, though, our graph or our equation is not going to be in slope-intercept form. So what you're going to have to start with doing is changing it to that form. So you're going to convert this to slope-intercept form by solving for y. So in order to get y by itself in this equation, I need to subtract the x term over to the left-hand or the right-hand side. And when I do that, notice how the 6x and the -14 are not like terms. You cannot add them together. So after that, we're going to divide the 2 out, and I'm going to divide both the -6x and the 14 by 2. So we're going to have our equation now as y equals -3x minus 7. And once you're done with that, we can graph it. So we're going to start with, again, the b value, and you should be pretty used to figuring that out now. B is -7. And then the slope is -3. So we're actually going to have to go down 3 more, and then over 1. So down 3 over 1. And that's the equation of our line.